CinderellaSkeleton. CinderellaSkeleton dwelt in boneyard acres near the wood, third mausoleum on the right. Decayed, decrepit, what a fright. On the door a withered wreath invited guests to rest in peace. It was the pride of the neighborhood. CinderellaSkeleton was everything a ghoul should be. Her build was long and lank and lean. Her darkish hair hung down in hanks. Her nails were yellow, her teeth were green. The ghastliest haunt you've ever seen, foulest in the land was she. CinderellaSkeleton's stepsisters treated her with scorn. Griseline was small and mean, and firmly packed with spite and spleen. Tall bony Jane was scatterbrain, was just as vile and twice as vain. They worked Cinderella from dusk till morn. CinderellaSkeleton, it seems her tasks were never done. She hung up cobwebs every place, arranged dead flowers in a vase, littered the floor with dust and leaves, fed the bats beneath the eaves. She had no time for rest or fun. CinderellaSkeleton's stepsisters dressed in fancy clothes, but she only had hand-me-downs. The others torn and tattered gowns. Her shoes had worn out tops and soles. In fact, that they were so full of holes, they showed off all her bony toes. CinderellaSkeleton asked for help with household chores, but stepmother Screech began to shout, "You're lucky I don't throw you out. My girls are gems, you're common clay. How dare you even think that they should streak the windows or strewn the floor?" CinderellaSkeleton, more disappointment lay ahead. Prince Charles summoned one and all to his frightful famous Halloween ball. When Cinderella begged to go, her stepmother sneered and told her, "No, you'll stay at home and work instead." CinderellaSkeleton watched the others leave in a hearse, screeching mournful bombazine, her girls in mildew green sateen. Then Cinderella made this vow, "I'll get to the prince's ball somehow. I'm taking action, for better or for worse." CinderellaSkeleton, off she marched without delay, to the good witch in the wood beyond, who cast kind spells with a generous wand. The witch heard Cinderella's pleas, then nodded, saying, "Bring me some things I need right away." CinderellaSkeleton located what was required: a jack-o'-lantern fiery-eyed, 6 rats trapped in a 6 rats a trap held locked inside, 2 bats asleep on wings wrapped tight, a cat as black as a moonless night, exactly as the witch desired. CinderellaSkeleton saw witch touch wand tip tap to all. The pumpkin turned into a funeral hearse, the rats to nightmares, part horse, part dragon, the bats to footmen at the ready, the cat to a driver whose steed sped her to the ball. "CinderellaSkeleton," the witch exclaimed, "you need new clothes. Her wand flashed magic to replace Cinderella's rags with a gown of lace, trimmed with silky bows, ribbons and bows, while each worn shoe that showed her toes became a slipper with a satin rose. Cinderella's skeleton was eager to be on her way, but the good witch said, "Before you go, there's one important thing to know. You must return before the morning. If you fail to heed my warning, your joy will fade at the break of day." CinderellaSkeleton had reached the ball and caused a stir. The guests all turned to stare at where she stood at the top of the palace stair. As she swept down, she heard the buzz of everyone wondering who she was. Then Prince Charmel bowed to greet her. "CinderellaSkeleton," heard Charmel say, "your beauty burns like bonfires ablaze at night. Your brightness fills me with delight. Dance with me, lady, I implore." She smiled. He led her to the floor, where they waltzed with the graceful dips and turns. CinderellaSkeleton, gazing into Charmel's eyes, was so in love, was unaware of each hateful murmur and baleful stare that Screech, Bony Jane, and Grisseline aimed at the lovers' tender scene. She danced till dawn first lit the skies. CinderellaSkeleton recalled too late the witch's warning. She broke from Charmel's dear embrace and hurried to escape the place. Charmel cried, "You're my answered prayer." But Cinderella fled down the stair, distressed how near it was till morning. CinderellaSkeleton, in her haste, as haste will, brought mishap. As she ran for her waiting carriage, pursuing the prince, shouting offers of marriage, she stumbled once, giving Charmel time to grab her foot and cry, "You're mine!" Then off her foot came with a snap. CinderellaSkeleton, ignoring the thump of her footless stump, reached her coach and cried, "Away! I must be home by break of day." They raced pell-mell past the palace gate. The prince kept pleading, "Lady, wait!" In his hand a foot, in his throat a lump. CinderellaSkeleton, through near dawn her nightmare sped, but morning caught them in the mid-flight. Coat shrank to pumpkin in the light. Cats, rats, and bats flittered away. Ragged and limping, she faced the day. Her heart still full, though the magic had fled. CinderellaSkeleton, her life grew day by day more grim. Her family worked her without rest. They knew Prince Charmel's mystery guest. She drudged, but halfway through some chore, she dreamed that she was dancing on the floor, as Charmel asked her to waltz with him. CinderellaSkeleton, her image filled the prince's mind. His days and nights turned to a blur, whirling round memories of her. So lovelorn Charmel vowed, "I'll start a search for the one that stole my heart. She must be somewhere I can find." "CinderellaSkeleton, until I find you I will not rest," vowed Charmel, who traveled every place with her slippered foot in a velvet case. But no one, Duchess Milkmaid Crone, could match foot bone to ankle bone. Each snapped a foot off for the test. CinderellaSkeleton, locked up when Charmel came to call. Screech pulled off girl's feet 1, 2, saying, "Why, Auric Blue, you're good as new. Surely it's worth a slight distress for the chance to be a true princess. Now hurry, the prince is in the hall. CinderellaSkeleton picked the lock with a longish pin. She heard Charnel's voice, his gentle tones, drowned by her stepsister's wails and moans. Boney Jay's ankle was too large and thick, and Grisseline thin as a withered stick. Then Cinderella came limping in. CinderellaSkeleton, while everyone stared wide-eyed, she bowed to Charnel with this request: "Please let me take your marriage test." Her foot bones snapped on and held fast. Charnel shouted, "A match at last! Here is my promised princess bride." CinderellaSkeleton, the rarest gem the world has seen, your gleaming skull and burnished bones, your teeth like polished kidney stone, your dampish silks and dankish hair. There's nothing like you anywhere. You make each day a Halloween. CinderellaSkeleton soon was married to her prince, and they stayed happy ever after, their kingdom filled with love and laughter. Screech, Grisseline, and Boney Jane just shriveled with envy and shrank to dust, and no one's seen or missed them since.